Hello, I'm Attorney Todd Leneve. Welcome to West Virginia Gun Law. I want to apologize for not having a video out in a couple of weeks now. Had a very busy week shortly after my last video with work, and then spent nearly a week out of the office for a legal conference down in Texas. And this week I'm just finally getting back into the swing of things here. And today, as you can see here, I had the opportunity to go and vote early for the upcoming election, which takes place next Tuesday. And had an interesting question posed to me by somebody asking if it's legal to carry a firearm into a polling place. So I thought we'd take a minute today and talk about that. Stick around. So we have a national election coming up next Tuesday, November 5th, and I was asked a question about the right to carry firearms at polling places. And this is something that does come up from time to time, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about it for a few minutes today, recognizing that there is a lot of emotion surrounding this upcoming election, and a lot of people may feel like they want to ensure that they are safe when they're going to and coming from their polling place. So let's just cut right to the bottom line up front here and address the fact that in the state of West Virginia, it is not unlawful to carry a firearm into your polling place to cast your vote. Now, there is an exception that you have to be aware of, and this is a very important one, and that is if you vote at a polling place that is traditionally considered to be a location where firearms are prohibited, you still cannot carry a firearm in there just because it's a polling place and you're going in to cast a vote. The fact that that location may not be functioning in its normal manner because it's serving as a polling place doesn't change the character of it, doesn't change the legality of it for carrying your firearms. So two perfect examples are if you vote at a courthouse or if you vote at a school. Both of those locations are prohibited areas under West Virginia law 365 days a year. Doesn't matter what function is occurring there, you may not carry a firearm into those locations. So if you vote at a courthouse or if you vote at a school, you must leave your firearm locked in your vehicle, okay? Let's make sure that's clear. Please don't misunderstand this. I don't want there to be any lack of clarity. You can carry a firearm to a polling place, but you may not carry it if it's a courthouse or a school or for some reason any other prohibited location. Fortunately, under West Virginia's laws, there are no polling places at other locations that would be prohibited, of which I am aware. But you probably want to double check before you carry your firearm. So, West Virginia is very permissive on this issue. We allow you to carry the firearm either concealed or openly. I have my personal position on open carry. I don't think it's a great idea. I don't feel like advertising your business to everybody around you is a smart move. But it is legal, and I support the right of those who choose to do it. But understand that it may be the kind of thing that draws scrutiny, draws unwanted attention, and creates challenges for you that could very easily be avoided by carrying concealed. So again, you may have your firearm, but you need to be sure, again, if you're in a courthouse or a school, that you've left it in your vehicle. Now let's contrast that with some of our neighboring states. So the easy ones to get out of the way are Pennsylvania and Kentucky. In those states, very much like West Virginia, there's no restriction on carrying to a polling place, again, provided that it's not a prohibited location standing on its own. Now, I did learn that in Pennsylvania, the city of Erie has passed an ordinance that prohibits the carrying of a firearm to polling places, and that may be subject to a legal challenge here at some point. But again, in general, Pennsylvania does not restrict carrying a firearm at a polling place. Over in Ohio, there is not a restriction against carrying a firearm to a polling place. However, in Ohio, most polling places, my understanding and speaking with an attorney friend there, is that almost every polling place in Ohio is at a location that is otherwise prohibited, a courthouse, a school, or a church or house of worship. And in Ohio, houses of worship are prohibited locations. You may not carry a firearm there unless there is express permission given by the people in charge of that church or house of worship. So again, given that churches are protected, prohibited places, schools and courthouses are as well, and that those offer most of the polling places in Ohio, the effect is that you generally cannot take a firearm to a polling place in the state of Ohio. Even though it's not expressly unlawful to do so, the location is where it is in fact expressly unlawful. So again, Ohio, no rule that says you can't, but the location itself dictates under Ohio law that you can't. So again, if you're an Ohio resident watching this, please understand you better make sure you know where you vote, because that location may be a protected location and you may not be allowed to carry there anyway, regardless of the activity going on. In Virginia, the Old Dominion, there is no firearms permitted anywhere in a polling place in the state. So again, in Virginia, can't carry a gun to a polling place. Maryland, well, you might as well not even carry a firearm out of your house in Maryland, the way they have their laws set up. Almost everything is a sensitive place. But Maryland specifically does prohibit the carrying of a firearm in a polling place. So you can see that the states around us all take a little bit different approach, other than Pennsylvania and Kentucky, which, like West Virginia, generally say it's okay. One of the key things to understand is that every state would prevent you from using your firearm in a manner that is intimidating or oppressive to others who may be there trying to cast a vote. But we have laws against that already, brandishing or other firearms related charges that say, hey, you can't use your firearm in an unlawful manner. We don't need more laws, amazingly, to accomplish that goal. We just need to make sure people understand these things will get you in trouble with a firearm, and if you do them, well, then we're going to enforce them. So that one, interestingly, dates all the way back to the founding era. And this topic itself is kind of interesting because back to the founding era of the country, there were really only two states that addressed firearms at polling places. Delaware, in its state constitution, specifically mandated that firearms are not allowed at polling places, but only on the day of voting. They didn't make that a broader prohibition that prevented you from carrying a firearm into that building the day before or the day after an election. But on the day of the election, you're not allowed to have a firearm in that location. And that goes all the way back to the founding era of this country. Likewise, New York had a law that came about shortly after the founding of the country saying that nobody could use a firearm or carry a firearm around a polling place in a manner that was designed to harass or intimidate other people that are trying to vote. But those are the only two founding era laws that relate to firearms at polling places. So it's kind of an interesting twist with the states that prohibit it. They may well be subject to a legal challenge under the standard of analysis that was set forth for us in the 2022 case of New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which is really the landmark Second Amendment case of our modern times. And somebody may choose to challenge some of these states on the Bruin standard, and they may well have a very good chance of having a receptive audience, a good legal argument to get those laws overturned. But part of it depends on having a judiciary that is open to hearing those kinds of challenges. And as you guys all know, that's not every state in this country. But again, bottom line here is that here in the state of West Virginia, when you go to vote, whether you're voting early or voting on election day, as long as you are not voting in a courthouse or a school, you're welcome to carry your firearm with you and enjoy your Second Amendment protections, or as we say these days, stay strapped or get clapped. So I hope this clears things up. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section down below. My email is also contained down in the video description. You're welcome to reach out to me. I'd be happy to make sure that you have clarification on this topic if there's anything that you're still not sure about. But I appreciate you guys spending a few minutes with me today. I hope every single one of you gets out and votes in this critical election, either before or on November 5th, and make sure you take some people with you. Let's get as many people out as we can to make sure that our country has an opportunity to elect candidates that are going to support our way of life, that are going to support the Second Amendment, and protect us as armed Americans. Thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. If you do, hit that notification button so you get notice of new videos when they drop. Like and share this one. And until the next time we get a chance to get together, stay safe, and we'll see you then.